Welcome to the JP8 Report. This is James Pierce coming to you with the JP8 Report episode number 44. Politics are indeed local. Thank y'all for tuning in to this episode. Always a reminder that if you're watching or listening, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. You can find me on Rumble and Podbean and YouTube and a stretch of other ones because I'm two of my platforms that they automatically publish them out to other podcast pipelines. So just please subscribe and subscribe to get notifications also. All right. Thank y'all today. This is going to be dealing with local politics, how important it is throughout the country, in the state of Texas, city Coppers Cove, where I live at. Before we begin, I just want to give a couple of shout outs to some people I know. Not endorsements or stuff like that. But I was at a local Republican Party dinner the other night, and it's called Pints and Politics, and it's throughout Central Texas. It's ran by a friend of mine named Chip Howell, and he does it in about 3 or 4 different locations on Thursday nights. Well, the one on the third Thursday every month is in the city of Kempner at the Kempner Brick Oven, and that was this last Thursday. And I met one guy, and I'm not saying I'm endorsing him. It's just because he's a Republican, but he's doing what he's supposed to be doing, and he's going out and meeting people across the state of Texas. He is filing for the Texas Railroad Commission. His name is Dwayne Tipton. He's a Republican, and he got some pretty good thoughts going on there. Why he should be the railroad commissioner for Texas. So if you see him running around, his Facebook and his website should be up this coming week. So his name is Dwayne Tipton. So it looks like our railroad commissioner, Wayne Christian, is going to have a challenger for this coming whenever we have our primaries due to redistricting. And since the Democrats in the state of Texas want to run and try to hide, we can't even have the special session on redistricting. So who knows when our primary is going to be? Hopefully soon. And then a real good friend of mine, he has his own podcast. It's called The First Branch. It deals with different issues and stuff. Right now he's dealing with military issues. He had a podcast on Friday night about the A-10, how important the A-10 Warthog is, or the Thunderbolt. So give him a chance. It's called The First Branch. It's on YouTube. Now, his channel is hard to find on YouTube. So if you go to my show notes that I have that are with the podcast when it's published, you'll see I put on there The First Branch, and I hyperlinked his YouTube channel on there for people to see. Okay, so give those people those three areas, and Pints and Politics. That's the grouping. I know there's one in Belton, one in Kempner. I think the next other one is in Austin. I think Cedar Park. I think those are the 4 areas, but I do know the one in Kempner, and he runs Elephant in the Strategies Room. Elephant in the Room Strategies, and that's on Facebook, so you can find them there too. Okay, so let's go to local elections, which is probably one of the most important things that's going on in our communities. Local government runs everything. Okay, most people look at state and federal, and that's all they're ever interested in when it comes to elections, because they usually have an R or a D or an L beside their name. Most of these D's should be S's for socialists, but that's another podcast. Okay, so and when you have city local elections, most of them are unaffiliated type elections. Um, so the county party chairs don't have really a lot to do. They should do with party recruitment and get people in those seats. Uh, Colonel Allen West, he used to be the GOP state chair for Texas. I heard him a couple years ago. He says, you know, he was giving a dinner I think it was a Reagan dinner. He was talking to us about, and he said the fastest way to flip a county from red to blue is through the city and the school boards, okay, and to bring the Marxist socialistic ideas into our government in the view of all its feel good policy, and we'll take care of you. Don't worry about um, Uncle Sugar will take care of you. They may be apolitical, but they're still conservatives and they're liberals and they're socialists out there. Okay? So it's really important always to make the right choice. A lot of these municipalities don't even have term limits. Okay? So you can get someone out there that has a group of buddies and stuff that no telling what party they're part of, because most of us don't know because they don't broadcast if they're conservative or not. You should never be afraid to tell someone your party affiliation. Stand up and be proud of it. Okay, there. I mean, in one of our local school boards here, we have had the same lady on the school board for 24 years. 24 years. Why? There are more people out there that can represent the school, the city, and the school than to be an honor. Like in our city, we have you can only serve 2 consecutive terms, and you got to step down for a minimum 12 months. Then you can run again. I personally believe in city and school government, you should have a 2-term limit. I do believe that. If you want to serve 2 terms in the city and 2 terms in the school, you can do that. Okay, but that's how it goes. So if I run for re-election in 4 more years at the college I serve at, that'll be 2 terms, and I'm done. Okay, there's always people out there. I was mentioning county chairs a while ago. I'll read you one thing it says on here. County chairs. This is for the Republican Party. Okay. The county chair is the leader of the local party in each county throughout the state. Some of their responsibilities include overseeing the primary, candidate filing, and other elections, chairing the county executive committee meetings, organizing and leading the local party, as well as overseeing and assisting the precinct in the county or Senate district conventions as required. Now I look at it as other elections. Most of the county chair, or all the county chairs, are unpaid. These are volunteer people. They run on their terms. I believe they're 2-year terms or 4-year terms, and so they have their daily lives and their businesses they got to run. But people resign all the time. Dallas County's GOP chair just resigned. He'd been on the job for about a year. They've gone through 5 GOP chairs in Dallas County in the last 7 years. Well, that's crazy because that's an elected position. So their executive committee keeps appointing new ones, and then when election time comes up, they gotta legitimize the that office holder. But same thing in these regular counties and stuff. People are always concerned. County commissioner, who's the Republican that's going to serve this time, or if you're on the Democrat side, same thing. But the county commissioners, the county judges, the constables, the sheriff, the tax assessor collector. That's especially important guy because not only does he collect taxes in the county, he also runs the election. elections. You have your district attorneys, you have your city attorneys, the county attorneys, I'm sorry. Um, all those are R's and D's and L's and a lot of S's these days instead of D's. Um, but at the same time, where do those candidates come from? Well, a lot of them, they do serve in those uh, city councils, in those school boards. And, it's a responsibility to get conservatives in those school boards so they be adequately represented by good serving conservatives. The county judges, in my belief, should be actively out there looking for people to serve in those city positions. Okay? Not fighting and says, well, they're not a Republican in a primary. I shouldn't have nothing to do. They should be actively involved in recruiting city council members and trustees. They should be. Because, like Colonel West said, the quickest way to flip a county from red to blue is through those school boards and the city councils. Okay? So, in that view, we have city elections that are non-political. We have city elections. We have public schools, the CCIS, the ISDs in Texas, or whatever they're called. And I know in California they call them unified school districts. I think they call them the same thing in Arizona also. But in Texas they call them independent school districts. And in community colleges. And I serve at a community college. It's a 6-year term. And then, you got to watch the teachers and the PTAs are in there. Now I'm going to show y'all a video of what I heard in the news. And I'm Twitter free, but I saw this. I was on a webpage for the Daily Caller. I think it was the Daily Caller. But and I saw this on the news too. And I wanted to show y'all because some of y'all don't watch the news too much. And I want to give you, and I'm glad y'all tuned in to me. But I wanted y'all to see this, okay? It's 1 minute long, and this is the type of person that is representing a PTA, and she's a NAACP person in Virginia, okay? And it was during a rally. There was some critical race theory protests going on, and she led a counter protest, and this is what she said. Okay, let me get it ramped up for y'all. See there, and then I'm going to transition over. I got this right here, and then I got to hit play.
Tearing down double standards and refuting double talk. Let's not allow any double downing on lies. Let's prepare our children for a world they deserve. Let's deny this off-key band of people that are anti-education, anti-teacher, anti-equity, anti-history, anti-racial reckoning, anti-opportunities, anti-health people, anti-diversity, anti-platform, anti-science, anti-change agent, anti-social justice, anti-healthcare, anti-worker, anti-LGBTQ+, anti-children, anti-healthcare, anti-worker, anti-environment, anti-emissions policy change, anti-inclusion, anti-live and let live people. Let them die. You don't let these uncomfortable people.
So, why would we let that trash represent our kids and parents in a school? Why would you let someone like that represent our kids at a parent? And even though she's on NAACP, that's nothing wrong with that, but she's on a parent teacher association also. Okay, or a PDSA, I think that's what they call them these days. How in the world Can she legitimately out there say, let them die? Really? She shouldn't be leading a file of ants at all, ever. She needs to be shown the door. And that's why I'm saying that, like in the schools, you really need to get out there and get known and get people to run in these races. Okay? Get in there, get elected, and do your job. And have our kids educated with education, not ideology. Okay? And her name is Michelle Leet. And she's, like I said, she's on a PTA in Virginia. Okay, Fairfax County Schools. Okay, I remember now. All right, that if that one lady does that, how many more people are doing that around the country? How many of them are saying that kind of stuff behind the scenes when there are no cameras watching, playing? She probably didn't know it was being videoed because the lady that videoed it happened to walk up when she started saying that, and she actually got it on there and she posted it on social media. Okay, that's crazy. That's crazy. When these school board elections come up, like here in Coppers Cove, Coppers Cove ISD, and city municipal elections. They're, I believe, November 5th, 4th, 3rd. I can't remember what it is right now. Okay, it's in November. Okay, so but the filing period started the day July 17th, the day Saturday. If you didn't know what day it is, because you'd be watching this 2 weeks from now. Okay, and it goes through August 18th, right? Here in Coppers Cove, we have seats 1 and 2 are up for re-election, and I used to be in seat 2. The guy that defeated me, he's a Democrat. We know that, but he needs to be shown the door. The lady in seat 1, I don't know exactly where she sits. She's a really nice lady. She's a veteran. Both of them are veterans, but we have a lot of veterans in our city. Okay, she runs a local nonprofit. Our mayor, which is doing a dynamite job, decided she doesn't want to run for re-election. So the guy in seat 3, which really needs to be replaced, he decides he's going to run for mayor. So as soon as he signs the run for mayor, he's got to resign his seat on seat 3. So in Coppers Cove, you have an election, seat 1, election, seat 2, a special election, seat 3, and then the mayor election. Okay, why in the world should every one of them people run unopposed? They should not be. And I can bet you right now that there are Democrats in the wings out there that said, who can we run in these seats to make sure we can turn Coppers Cove blue? It shouldn't happen. Our county chair, Jack Barcroft, should be out there actively looking for candidates, whether it be in Coppers Cove or in Gatesville, Pidcoke, Event, Pearl, Jonesboro, Oglesby, all these towns, all the way up to Crens. I don't know if Cransfield Gap is in Coryell County. I think it's in Bosque, but he should be helping. Okay, there's people who want to run for office. They don't know the first thing on how to run for office, and they should be there to help. Okay, I'm not saying he's doing it, but a lot of Chip told me the other day, in Texas, we have 254 counties. 4 counties don't have a GOP chair in them. Why? There should be a GOP chair in every single county in the state of Texas. Okay? See, and then Coppers Cove Independent School District, Seats 1 and seats 2 are open. Seat 2 is held by a young lady. She just got elected 3 years ago. Seat 1, Miss Inez, she's been 12 or 15 years. Why? Get someone new in there. But whoever runs in those 2 seats, at one of the voters' forums, someone needs to be there and say, hey, what are you doing about taxes? What are you doing about our kids in the schools and overcrowding in the schools? But you need to ask them, what are your views on critical race theory? Do you support it or do you not support it? Don't be afraid to ask and make them answer those questions, because it's your right as a parent. It's your right as a taxpayer to get that. Okay? So in those areas, you got stuff like taxes, your tax rate, your property tax rate, critical race theory, development of teachers, development of the city around you, which affects taxes. Are we overdoing with the houses in the area? Are we actively looking for businesses to come in? What is your local Chamber of Commerce doing to attract businesses? Okay, what is your local, and here we have an economic development corporation. Their job is to be looking for primary jobs. What are they doing? How many jobs are they bringing in here? How are we paying all of our property taxes? Are we reliant on homeowners, or are we reliant on businesses? Okay, good points. Really good points. Because, if your EDC and your Chamber of Commerce aren't doing their job, nothing's going to happen, and you'll have decaying buildings all over the place unoccupied. And what are those landlords doing to make it attractive for people to move in? What are they doing? What are the conditions of the roads and the utilities in those cities? With the CCS, with the ISDs, teachers curriculum. Okay, who's doing it? Are you reliant on the Texas Education Agency, the TEA? Are you holding your superintendent accountable? How much are you paying them? Should a superintendent make $200,000 or $300,000 a year? Well, that's part of your responsibilities as a school board member or trustee. Your city manager pay, same thing on a city council. You determine how much that city manager makes, how well he administers the city for you. Because like if you're in a home rule city like Copper's Cove is, you're a city manager led city where the city council tells the mayor and tells the city manager what to do. The mayor oversees the city, signs off on the ordinances that the city council passes, and directs them to the city manager, and the city manager executes. And he runs and supervises all the supervisors and the city employees. Okay, so if you want to run, something to think about running is you got to review the Texas Ethics Commission. Okay, TEC, Texas Ethics Commission. It tells a lot of the responsibilities of a candidate running. It'll tell you when you file your campaign finance report, which is required. You have your quarterly reports, you have your 30-day reports, you have your 8-day report, and you have your final report. Okay, so if you're out there, and if by chance you're running for office and you want to throw an ice cream social, okay, and you want to buy everybody's ice cream, well, all that money you spend on that ice cream at the social, you have to report on your campaign finance report. If you advertise on a billboard, you got if you make signs, if you buy T-post, all that stuff you have to report, and your donors on how much they gave you and what you spent. If you do a Facebook paid ad, or if you have your own website, and all that stuff, it has to be reported. And that local chair for that county can help you. And you can always ask other politicians that are actually serving, they can help you out. Okay, or you can always call the city manager or school board secretary. They handle all that stuff. All right. Um, if you're Joe Civilian, okay, if you want to know how who is donating to these candidates and how they're spending their money, uh, you can do a Freedom of Information Act. They call it Public Records Access sometimes. Okay, and you go through like the city secretary and say, I would like to do a FOIA on this candidate, and tell them when the filing period was that you want records on. And usually within a week or so, you'll get an email to you in most cases. Well, in some cities, it's really cool. In Plano, Texas, on their city website, they automatically post them on the city website. So you don't even have to do a FOIA. It's automatically. I really like that process a lot. It reduces the workload on the city secretary, and also it makes these candidates know I have to file, and people will see my campaign finance report, which is really good thing. Okay, but like I said, we need term limits, effective term limits for council members, school board members, even community college members like myself. Okay, we need to get people more involved. People do not need to be afraid to actually go out there and serve the community. Okay, most of the time it's voluntary, it's free. I don't get paid a dime for being up at my college. Okay, but we need people to go out and do it. We need to hold these school board members and these city council members accountable. Okay, accountable for everything they do on that school board. Okay, how they spend your tax dollars, how they treat their employees, how they teach our kids. Okay, because there's political influence from the left to help these people out, but we need the actual political influence from the right that help us out also. Okay, so don't think no one's ever watching. It'll be all right. Oh, he's a good old boy. He knows what, If he's a Democrat, don't trust him. If he is a Democrat, do not trust him. Okay, I'll say it again. If he is or she is a Democrat, don't trust them. We need conservatives in these school districts and in city councils. You need to get out there and get elected. You need to hold these Democrats accountable that are DC, because they're preventing redistricting. In my city where I live at, we're at large. We don't have districts. Okay, but our constables do, our county commissioners do, the state legislatures do, the state senators do, the congressmen, the senators. I mean, they have districts, and that means redistricting. We are going to be held up for those new boundaries because those Democrats that fled to Washington, D.C. are there, and they are not going to be able to have that special session to be able to draw those boundaries up. So we need them to come back, whether they'll be in silver bracelets or just get on. Our speaker's got a plane on reserve for anyone that wants to come back to Texas, and he'll fly them back. Just jump on the plane and come back. You can look at the history of Texas, okay? Until 2003, there was never a majority of Republicans in the state house. They never ran. There was like a decade, I was looking at it the other day, a decade, there wasn't a single Republican in the state house. So the Democrats could do whatever they want. For 130 years, there was never a Republican majority. And I counted until the early 90s, there was a total of 45 Republicans that ever won an election in the state house. And then after the early 90s started up, we started building up our attendance, and in 2003 we finally won the state house as a majority. And the same thing in the state senate. I mean, there was times there was only one Republican in there out of 30, okay, out of 31. Okay, really, wow. And we didn't run from our responsibilities. And so twice since 2003, the Democrats have ran from their responsibilities of serving Texas. They don't need to be in office. They need to be defeated and replaced with Republicans. Okay, they did 130 years to wreck our state, and we've only been in charge for about 20 years. And we need to make sure we fix our state so it's fair for everyone that's here. And I don't want to hear this BS of, oh, well, Republicans are racist. They're not. Okay, they're probably make believes in name only people, but the Democrats were the party of the Civil War, and they were a party after Reconstruction, and they were a party during the Depression, the Roaring 20s. Look at this. You know, they were so apt to. They were so apt for the prohibition. It was a Democrat that pushed that, and who repealed it. It was another Democrat. There was no Republicans involved in that. Democrats keep making stupid, lame-brain mistakes with our liberties. Okay, you watch the news. What they're talking about with social media, how they should be able to censor what we say on social media. The government has no business at all, ever, to recommend to a social platform or a newspaper who to let into the editorial departments and who to be able to, or what they post on their network sites. That's a First Amendment violation, and there should be already someone ready to make a lawsuit on that one and send it straight to the Supreme Court. Fast track that bad boy. It has to be, because this is getting out of hand. Okay, but it all starts in the city councils and the school boards, and you need to get people in there to run for those seats. All right, I ran a little bit over my allotted time because I usually try to keep it less than 30, and we're at 32:27 right now. So I'm gonna sign off this one. This was episode 44. Politics are indeed local, and this is James Pierce with the JP8 Report. I'll catch you on the flip side, and I am out.